Welcome back to another episode of What I Watched, this time covering everything that I watched in the month of August. Yes, I know this video is late, but let's get through it. I have a crazy amount of videos planned for October, so I need to catch up, get my backlog out of there, get my computer cleared out. So here is everything that I watched in the month of August, starting with Batman vs. TMNT. I hadn't seen this before, and honestly, it was a really damn fun time. It took some twists and turns that I just wasn't expecting it to take, that I'm glad they took. And I think it's something that I will rewatch. I don't think it's going to be, one of the TMNT projects that I revisit like every year or anything like that. But yeah, Batman vs. TMNT, it was really well done. And next up, we got Meg 2: The Trench. This was not good. It was somehow way worse than the first one. I really didn't think it could get much worse, but there's no carnage. There's more Megs, but they show less of the Meg on screen time, and they have barely any kills. It does not do anything that a Meg film should do. All right, I'll kind of combine these two together. I watched Becky and then The Wrath of Becky from this year. I thought both films were fine. I do prefer The Wrath of Becky over Becky. I think Sean William Scott fits more as a villain than Kevin James does in the original Becky, but I think they're both fun watches. And yeah, if you haven't seen them and you're looking for a double feature, dumb fun, action, kind of bloody, ultra bloody, go check these out. They're fun. All right, after that, watch Fool's Paradise, which for some reason, everybody's just shitting on this movie. I don't get why. It's simple, and it's just a fun watch through and through. I had an absolute blast, and the scene with the song Wipeout was just, it had me absolutely laughing to no end. I love this film and I love Charlie Day. All right, next up, we're going to get into some vampire movies, which I have a very exciting vampire video coming out next month. But here we have Blade. Do I talk about these in depth? I guess maybe. Blade, the original one, I think the opening is fantastic, but it does just go downhill after that opening. I think it's fine. I don't want to own the film. I don't think I actually ever really want to rewatch this first film. I'll go ahead and watch the second one and the third just because I haven't seen them before, but I'm not going to rewatch the first one going into those films because I just kind of don't care about him. Next up, we got Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992, which I really enjoyed. I had heard nothing about this film, knew nothing about it going into it other than some small cast details, and I gotta say, this is one of my favorite tellings of Dracula. And after that, we got Dracula Untold from 2014, which, although it was predictable for the most part, I still think it was really well put together and brought some cool new elements into the Dracula lore. I loved the bats swarming together to create a weapon for Dracula. I actually thought that was really cool. I know a lot of people thought it was dumb, but I don't know. It was something different, and that's always fun and cool to see. After that, watch Dracula from 1931, which again, it's good for the time. Obviously doesn't hold up for, today's standards. I don't find it scary. I think there are some creepy elements, and seeing this in 1931, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's a creepy story. It's there's a reason why it's, so profound and why we just keep getting vampire films. It's because it's cool, it's unique, and it was probably pretty damn terrifying at the time. Speaking of terrifying, we have The Strangers. This is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and there's barely any kills. It's just real, and real is scary to me. I'm very excited to see what Renny Harlin has planned for his sequels trilogy. I love this first film. I don't necessarily love the sequels. The sequel Strangers Prey at Night. I think it has some very cool elements, very cool soundtrack, but nothing beats the first one. That first one, and the image of the dude with the mask standing behind the woman while she has no idea, and she's in her own house or in the guest house, whatever it is. But man, it's a damn good film. I can't talk today. I'm trying to get through these videos, but next up, I watched Saw. This is the first time that I watched Saw all the way through, probably since I was 13, maybe 14. So it's been over a decade for sure. And it holds up. There are some dialogue pieces that I don't necessarily love. I definitely think this is the Saw that I like because it's not just torture porn. It's not just gross traps just to be gross traps. I like that it can be creative in that way, but it just doesn't click with me like Saw does with so many people. But as for Saw 1, it's a good horror film. It doesn't break my top 100 horror films probably, maybe, if it does break my top 100, it would be in the 90s and the 80s, something like that. But yeah, Saw, it's good. It's got some good bits. All right, after that, watched Tom Segura's special on Netflix. I believe it was Sledgehammer. This was funny and gross. If you like Tom Segura, then you'll know what you're getting into. If you've never heard of him, it's a lot, and I thought it was damn hilarious. After that, watched Missing from 2023, which I thought was really well done. Again, it's not something that I think I'm going to revisit, but as a one-time watch, it was fun and it was entertaining through and through. After that, watched Encino Man for the first time with my girlfriend. Not my first time. I had seen it plenty of times. She had never. But I love this film. I love Pauly Shore in the film with his... I can't do it, but he does a weird little... and then, what's up, buddy? I love Encino Man. It's fun, it's dumb, and who doesn't love, Sean Astin? Yeah. Then next up, we got Strangers Pray at Night, which, like I said, not totally huge on this one, but I love the original. I think this one has some good cinematography and some good kills, but it just doesn't fit what I was expecting from a Strangers sequel. And then I rewatched Asteroid City, which this rewatch, officially confirmed that I do love this film. I wasn't totally sold on it in the theaters, but it's just the more that I watch it, the more that I adore it, and the more that I think it'll be one of those Wes Anderson films that I can just put on at any time. I can listen to it and clean the house or something because the soundtrack is fantastic. So yeah, I really do love Asteroid City. After that, went on to watch The Exorcist 2, the Heretic or the Heretic? The Heretic. That sounds right. Hopefully. This movie's not good. I think I made it 30 minutes in, and I knew that this movie wasn't going to be good going into it. And I've heard that, the Exorcist franchise is just not good as a franchise, and that is totally 100% true. Just like Jaws, I like the original. Everything after that, just there's no need for it. Make something new and different. And on top of that, this movie's not scary at all. After that, I watched Cabin Fever for the very first time. I had seen parts of it, but this was the very first time that I finished it all the way through, and it really holds up. The practical effects are gnarly. They do a good job at cutting away when they need to, because it's getting, it's too much. But yeah, this movie's pretty damn good. Eli Roth needs to come back to doing more stuff like this, and I'm very excited for his upcoming film, Thanksgiving. After that, watched The Exorcist 3, which this one was even worse than Exorcist 2. I shouldn't say that because I did make it further into this film than I did with The Exorcist 2. The only reason why is because I knew about the jump scare. That is one of the all-time jump scares. And I tried to get to the point where I could just watch the movie and then enjoy the jump scare as is. But the movie's so boring, just like Exorcist 2, that I had to skim through it. And by the time that I got to the jump scare, which if you don't know it, you might as well look it up because the movie's not worth watching. But it's like a nurse, and it's a long hallway shot, and it's a good jump scare if you don't know it's coming. But I had heard about it over and over again, and yeah, just the film is not. It's not good. Exorcist doesn't need to be a franchise, and I'm not excited for the new one this year either. I don't care. All right, next up we have a movie that would definitely be quite controversial if it were released today, and that is Sleepaway Camp. I had no idea what this film was about. I knew nothing about Sleepaway Camp going into it. So being a huge horror fan, knowing nothing about something, it makes it more exciting going into it, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, who's doing this, who's doing that, and I kind of thought to myself, oh, is it this person? But I didn't know that this person was going to turn out to be also that. So if you've seen the film, you obviously clearly know what I'm talking about, but I was not expecting that, and I don't think it works. It's quite cringy. Yeah, it was just weird and not my thing. Next up, watched They Cloned Tyrone, which I gotta admit I'm not totally huge on, but it was a fun watch, and I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it again. But if you've got Netflix and you're looking for something easy, this is something easy. All right, I had kind of mentioned this movie in a previous episode. This is Bad Things. This is a movie that I'm not a fan of. I did kind of like the director's previous work, Lyle, which was much shorter. So that's probably why I liked it more. But this one, just the look of it, I didn't care for, and I know that it's a lower budget film, so I do feel saying things like that. It's like, well, yeah, they had a lower budget. Of course, it's gonna look a little bit cheaper, and that's not an insult. It's just what it is. And especially when you've got a story that I don't think holds up, you're gonna be more critical of everything else around it. Okay, then we got a couple rewatches. Got Napoleon Dynamite and Barbie. Napoleon Dynamite, I'll say it right now, I think it truly might be my favorite comedy of all time. I can put it on any day, any time of the year, and I will always find something to laugh at. After that, Barbie, of course. I liked it more second time around. I think it was simpler a second time around. I was able to digest it more just because there was so much color. Like, not that it's not a complex story really at all. Like, it's dumb and easy. But there was just so much going on that watching it a second time, you're like, okay, this is just fun, and you're just supposed to groove through whatever it is that you're watching at that point in time. Next up, these next couple movies are absolutely wild and weird that I watched them kind of like back to back of one day. So I got Freddy Got Fingered, which I had never seen. One of the weirdest comedies I've ever seen. I had heard that from a few people that Tom Green could be annoying or hilarious, and this was one of those moments where I knew nothing about the film going into it. I knew that the film was crazy. That's like all I knew. Yeah, going into it and just watching this at like 2 a.m. when I was tired, but also I was wanting to laugh. It gave me that because I was so tired that I was like almost able to laugh at anything. Everything in that movie essentially made me laugh. Again, not something I think I'm going to rewatch. As a one-time, not knowing anything about the film, it was damn weird and hilarious. All right, then I watched Green Mile for the very first time, and I absolutely loved it. I do have a Stephen King adaptations ranking video coming out very, very soon, or I guess, yeah, because it's coming out in October, so pretty soon. Very excited to talk about that because The Green Mile is a damn good film. I don't know why it took me so long to watch Green Mile. It's so damn good, and I do own the film, so I'm happy about that. All right, then we watched No Hard Feelings, which it was a good comedy. Wasn't over the top. It wasn't bad. It was solid. I don't want to personally rewatch it. It's a step in the right direction for where I think comedy should go. Next up after that, rewatched Beau is Afraid. This is one of my favorites of this year, and I can't wait to talk about it in my year-end ranking of my top films, because this will, without a doubt, be in my top 10 somewhere in there. Right now, it's in my top 5, I'll tell you that. Then I watched Inside, which was very, very boring. I love Willem Dafoe. You know, I got through the film because of him. At the end of the day, it's too slow. Ghosts of Sugarland. This was I believe like a 20, maybe like a 15-minute documentary. I think it's on Netflix. Go check it out because it's a bizarre, weird story about shocked when their friend embraces extremism. A group of Muslim Americans in Texas recount their time with him and theories about his fate. So yeah, they talk about how this specific individual affected their lives and whether or not that individual may or may not be alive, whether or not he's watching that video. It's a bizarre story, so go check it out. And I'm going to combine these all kind of into one. I went through and watched every single film that was released in the 1880s. So every film that was released between 1880 and 1899, I watched every single film, and it was mostly, like 2 or 3 second clips. We've got Man Walking Around a Corner, The Kiss, the 1882 Transit of Venus, Le Homme Machine. We got Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'll circle back to that. Then we got Roundhay Garden Scene, Traffic Crossing Leeds Bridge, Accordion Player, Horse and Rider Jumping Over an Obstacle, Brighton Street Scene, Hyde Park Corner. So those are all clips of basically just life back in the 1880s, and I thought it was cool revisiting those clips. And I do actually kind of have a ranking of those clips, just based off of why they would have been shot at the time and how unique they are for the time. So I'll eventually get around to talking about that. But Nightmare on Elm Street, circling back to that, this film is fantastic. It is one of the best horror films of all time. I can't say that the franchise as a whole is one of the best franchises of all time, but it has some damn good entries, like some solid entries. I guess to end the month, we watched Blue Beetle. This was on the, National Movie Day? Yeah, National Cinema Day. So the Regal Theaters was selling $3 tickets or whatever like that. So paid $3 for my girlfriend's ticket and 54 cents for mine. So we went and saw Blue Beetle in a packed theater. It was actually really fun seeing a movie finally in a packed theater, and the entire parking lot was like sold out. Like, you could barely find parking. We got lucky. Blue Beetle was really, really fun. Like, way better than I expected. And when it comes to the DC universe that exists so far, that we have everything, Justice League, Batman v Superman, this is truly one of the best DC films that they've released. It's super, super fun. And then to end off the month, we watched Infinity Pool. This was my second time and Daviana's first. We did end up stopping it at the nipple, the long nipple. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you would not forget the long nipple. This film shows every bodily fluid except for poo within the first like 20 minutes. So be prepared for that. I don't really like the film, but I love the cast. And so like part of me wants to love the film, but it just gets, I don't know. Like, I love the creativity behind it, but it's just, it's one of those films where it's like, I say it's too weird for me, but then I love something like Beau is Afraid. So I don't really know what it is about this film that I'm not liking, or that's stopping me from really being attached to it. Because like Beau is Afraid is a terrifying film, as well as being extremely weird, like possibly the weirdest film I've ever seen in a theater, and yet I love it. So yeah, that's everything that I watched in the month of August. I'm now finally caught up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys want to see on the channel. I do have a crazy month planned for October. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.